Kelsey, and in this video I am going to be showing you my favorite sourdough pancakes. If you didn't see it on the screen, this is the night before. I am feeding my starter with just some equal parts flour and water. I use organic unbleached flour from Costco, and I use a half-gallon mason jar to keep my starter in. The majority of the time I do have a jar that's more open mouth that I like a little bit more, but I do like how this jar shows the measurements of like how much is actually in there, but it is much more difficult to clean. But yeah, the starter that was technically in there before feeding it right now is considered sourdough discard. So that means it hasn't been fed within 12 hours. It's already risen and now fallen back down. So now that I'm feeding it, it's gonna wake it back up and make it be active, because in the morning I want to be using the active starter to make the pancakes. So technically this recipe is like a long ferment because we use the active starter and we don't add any additional flour. So first thing, measuring out some coconut oil. It's about 1/4 cup when I measure it out of the dish. Coconut oil, it's so confusing because it's like, okay, is it 1/4 cup as it's liquid or when it's solid? So I will tell you it's 1/4 cup when it's like solid, and then it'll melt. I just like to melt it on the stove top instead of in the microwave. And so melting that and pouring it in. This recipe has such simple ingredients, literally 6 ingredients. So it's got the 1/4 cup coconut oil melted, 2 cups of active sourdough starter. So you do have to have quite a bit of starter to make it. However, I have made it with a little bit less, and it works out just fine. You just get less pancakes because you're not adding any flour to this recipe. So 2 cups active sourdough starter, 2 eggs. Sometimes I'll do 3 for extra protein. Doesn't hurt. Then the 1/4 a cup coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of honey. I honestly, if you're following along my channel so far, you know I like to be very minimal on the amount of dishes I use when I'm cooking and baking. So I don't even waste time measuring the honey with an actual tablespoon. I just do some squirts in there that looks like it's the pile. It looks like it's a tablespoon, and we go with it, and they turn out just fine. So yeah, the honey, and then you do about a half a teaspoon of salt, which again, I don't get the half a teaspoon. I just pinch some salt in there. Now the last one is 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and I will measure that out just because I think it's probably one of the most important ingredients in here. So I will measure that. But that's, as you can see here, I'm measuring out my 2 cups of sourdough starter. And that is one thing I love about these gallon mason jars, is that it shows the size of the cups that are in there. So it will look the size. You see, I'll get 2 cups. We're good. Like I said, the baking soda is probably the most important, and you want to add it last, because it makes the sourdough starter get really foamy and bubbly, which is exactly what you want, and you don't want to overmix it. So right about here, it's good, and I'm going to throw it on the griddle. I usually make these on cast iron skillets, but this morning I was just in a hurry, and so I have this green pan crock pot, and it has this skillet, and it is actually so convenient. It's supposed to not have the PFAS and the other bad chemicals that they put on these non-stick skillets and pans and everything. So yeah, you just throw some additional coconut oil on your griddle or on your cast iron skillet, and you'll see in the video how they bubble up, and once they start bubbling, that just means it's time to flip them. And they turn out so crispy, but like fluffy on the inside, and high in protein and full of the good probiotics from long fermenting overnight. I hope you enjoy these. Hi, my name is Kelsey. I live on a small farm with my husband and 2 young children. I love sharing motivational videos for cleaning, non-toxic living, baking with sourdough, gardening, homesteading, homeschooling. So if you're into these kind of things, please be sure to like and subscribe.